It now gives me great pleasure to introduce James Wallbank, the Director of Azuma Resources. James is a founder of Iberia Capital, which he formed back in 2012. And James has also been a Director of Azuma Resources since 2019. And prior to that, he worked for Fortescue Metals Group and Worley Parsons. Iberia is an international private equity group which exclusively invests in future-facing mineral investments and is an active investment partner to mining companies across 4 continents. To date, Iberia has invested $44 million US to help 100% Ghanaian Azuma Resources team bring the Black Volta gold mine to construction. Expected to employ a local workforce of more than 420 people, Black Volta will produce 148,000 ounces of gold per annum for the first 9 years, injecting more than $100 million US per annum into the local Ghanaian economy. James has an MBA from the Australian Graduate School of Management and a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering from the University of Adelaide. So please join me in welcoming James. Thank you.
Good morning, Honourable Minister, High Commissioners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As Ian mentioned, I'm managing partner of a private equity fund, Iberia Capital, and Iberia is the 100% owner of Azuma. So Azuma is held as a private company at the moment. It's one of our portfolio investments. So what I'll do to start off with is provide a little overview of Iberia, and then we'll get into a discussion specifically on Azuma. But I think it's interesting, given the points made by the Minister earlier today, that this panel has been constructed to bring the listed junior company, the major global gold producer, and now the investor. And I think a lot of the themes that we will talk about will be very similar, although now you're just going to get the investor's perspective as opposed to the miner's perspective. So who is Iberia? Iberia is an international private investment fund. We are 100% US investor-based with a $20 million minimum investment per investor. So all of our investors are very sophisticated, large investment organisations. Iberia has more than 70 people globally with offices in Accra, Belgrade, Georgetown and Perth. We exclusively invest in what we call future-facing minerals, and we've been doing that since 2012, a decade now. We're currently funding mineral exploration companies across 4 continents, and we've spent over $100 million invested just in the last few years into that space. We were fortunate enough earlier this year to be rated in the top 10 natural resource funds globally in terms of investment return to our investors. And we are the #1 performing mining fund globally. This slide's important to us. It represents our ethos, and if you can just read across the top line, that how you invest today shapes the world that we live in tomorrow. And that we take this very seriously, that we're all able to, through the investments that we make and the decisions we make around where to invest and how to build, that will ultimately influence the world of the future. And key point down the bottom is that by displacing future-facing mineral supply with metals from responsible sources, that is sources with low carbon footprint, high benefit to local communities, minimum impact on the global environment, we are able to effectively move the world's ESG footprint and make significant benefits to the global footprint of mining. And so we're looking to develop mines that are not just acceptable to the world's investors today, but we're looking to develop mines that are going to be attractive to investors 10 years from now and 20 years from now. So this is a map of our footprint. We're very selective in terms of where we look for projects. We're looking for projects with local community benefit with quality resources that can be developed with low power, low carbon footprint, high benefit to communities. So that's enough on Iberia, I think, for now. Let me get into the detail on Azuma. So here is a map of Ghana. We've pinched Sean's map from before and slightly modified it. So you can see us, we're in the top left corner up here, and we have Cardinal over here, and the main mining district of Ghana down the southwest. So why have we come to Ghana? Why have we made the decision to invest in Ghana as opposed to somewhere else? So from our perspective, that decision's around 6 parameters. And firstly, that Ghana is stable. It is the #1 largest gold producing nation in Africa. It's an established gold jurisdiction. The geology is established and proven. The regulatory environment is established and proven. It's proven because we have major miners developing some world-scale mines in Ghana. It's safe, low political, security and terrorism risk, which has obviously been a major issue in the region. But particularly for us, and why we're in the northwest and why we like this project, is community. This is the most impoverished region in Ghana, the one that can benefit most from investment, where we can bring not only a mine to the district, but skills and employment, and really contribute materially to the development of that region in Ghana. Also, we have the benefit of more than 50% or circa 50% of our energy is sourced through renewable sources already, and we're looking to improve on that situation. And finally, governance, English law, we've always found it very easy to deal with the regulatory system in Ghana. So let me just talk quickly about the geology for the geologists in the room. And there's only, I think, 2 or 3 slides on this. So firstly, why are we in the northwest of Ghana? Why has a mine not been developed there before? And this is a map, a very simplistic map of the Birimian greenstone belts of West Africa in the green. Oops, sorry. And we've mapped on this the major mining operations in Ghana, entirely correlated with those greenstone belts. We've also mapped across the border, because we are on the border with Burkina Faso, we've mapped across the major mines and the mine developments in Burkina Faso. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that this is clearly a very prospective location for gold mine development in Ghana. So that's why we're there, and that's why it's attractive to us. Just across the border, we have 3 major mining projects, Yaramoko, Mana and Houndé, which when you look at them in terms of scale and grade are almost identical to what we're looking to develop here. And that's not really surprising when we're actually sharing the same rocks, the same greenstone belts as those assets. So when people say, well, mining in northwest Ghana, that seems to be a bit of a step out, it's not. It's absolutely consistent with what's happening in West Africa. And the benefit that we have, obviously, is that we're in Ghana and we're not in Burkina Faso at the moment with some of the challenges happening there. So let's zoom in and just look at some of the detail. So here's our licence position, right along the border with Burkina Faso. And one of the things that's attractive for this, you see this gold anomalism, and it continues right along that Birimian greenstone belt that we talked about before. And that's almost 100 kilometres of identified gold anomalism by drilling that we've done to date. So Azuma Black Volta, 934 square kilometres of licence position, 2.8 million ounces of gold already defined in resource, and 1.4 million ounces in reserve, already defined, ready to go. That project for us is ready to construct now, and we're in the process of finalising funding so that that construction can commence. But just following on from that in terms of discussion around geology, we're not done yet. There's much more potential than just contained within that resource and reserve that I've just talked about. So that resource and reserve is just within these little areas here. So this is still prospective and open for us to develop. So if we zoom in again, this is some of the work that we've been doing to identify that potential in the last few years, the last couple of years. So here you see the black dot, Black Volta Bepcong pit and the Kunshi pit. They are the main pits of the Azuma mine development, the resource and reserve that we talked about before. Pre-2018, drilling outside of that footprint was on average 40 metres in depth, just touching the surface. Since 2020, we've added nearly 19 kilometres of drilling across that footprint. And what we're intending to do is to fill in this gap between a Bepcong pit and a Kunshi pit. But also we're looking to what is the potential to extend Bepcong north along that strike. And you can get an idea of the scale we're talking here, 12 kilometres by 4 kilometres. We're talking a very big system. And interestingly, when we drill under that anomalism, and here's a cross-section of exactly that, where we see that surface anomalism, this is a cross-section right through that diagram we showed before. We drill underneath it, and we get 100 metres at 2 grams, 93 metres at 2.3 grams, 63 metres at 2.2 grams. Significant gold intercepts that are just yet to be drilled and to be included into that mine plan. So that's it. That's my pitch on the geology. So let's just talk about the mine development and where that's at the moment. So here's the mine plan with the Kunshi pit and the Bepcong pit just 2 kilometres apart, process plant in the middle. The project is fully permitted, feasibility is complete, and it's ready for construction right now. 934 square kilometres approved licences. All critical infrastructure, road, water, power, airport, already in place. EPA approvals in place, low environmental impact, net benefit to communities, and that's what we're going to get onto in a minute. But before that, I'll just cover the economics. And for us, as an investor, we're super excited in this project. You look at these economics, and they are, the peer of almost any project in the marketplace at the moment. 148,000 ounces per annum, 1.8 grams a tonne, 196 million capex, currently $370 million post-tax MPV, 44% rate of return. $905 an ounce, 11 years production, $122 million of EBITDA per annum. From a community's point of view, we have already invested more than $100 million US into this project. We've already engaged more than 1,500 local Ghanaians on this project. Azuma itself, I'm the investor effectively here, but Azuma itself is 100% Ghanaian, based in Ghana, run by Ghanaians, with investment by a US investment fund. During construction, we expect another 1,000 people to be employed, 420 during operations. In total, the benefit to Ghana over $1 billion from this investment, $1 billion. But also we're doing things to benefit the community, and I think both Sean and Len talked about those initiatives before, helping hospitals, helping local communities, building water pipelines, and we've been doing that with the High Commission in Ghana as well. So that's it for my presentation on Azuma. That's done, but before I leave, I just want to cover one thing more which is quite exciting for us, and that is what we call the Up West development, and this is even further north than we've talked about on the previous maps. So Iberia has just committed, subject to the Minister's Honourable Minister's approval to fund another $12.6 million to accelerate exploration in that region, because we see the potential for another Black Volta scale asset in this region. And that has 790 square kilometres of tenements, and drilling is about to commence, again subject to ministerial approval. But if we dive into it very quickly, why are we excited about it? It looks exactly the same as Black Volta. From a geological point of view, it looks exactly the same. So that's where I'd like to leave the presentation today, but I think just to leave a last note that we take our responsibility as investors in mining very seriously. And how we invest today shapes the world that you will live in tomorrow. I think everybody needs to think about that and think about the responsibility that you have as mining companies, investors, and governments in terms of how you will develop the resources of your country. And just last of all, just make a note that Ian mentioned, and the Honourable Minister before, that there is a lunch today at 1:15. The lunch and food is provided for free through sponsorship. The lunch at 1:15 is down in the Azumah restaurant on the ground floor, hosted by the Honourable Minister. And I think there's the intention that the panel will be able to take questions at that point in time. Thank you very much for your time.